How much trouble does the death of the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein cause the royal family? The American billionaire killed himself in his prison cell on the 10th of August, a day after 2,000 documents, including depositions and affidavits in relation to sex trafficking and the involvement of world leaders, were published. Now the story has a new development: the release of video images by the Mail on Sunday, which claim to show Prince Andrew in Epstein's townhouse in 2010. Jeffrey Epstein leaving his New York townhouse with a young woman. An hour later, Prince Andrew appears at the door with another young woman, opening it just slightly to wave her off. It's the emergence of this footage which sparked an unusually swift response from Buckingham Palace. The pictures are from 2010, more than a decade after Epstein and Prince Andrew met, and just 2 years after Epstein pleaded guilty to 1 count of solicitation of prostitution and 1 count of solicitation of prostitution of a minor. This avoided any federal charges which could have seen him face life in prison. Instead, he controversially received an 18-month sentence. The seriousness of the charges and the high-profile nature of the case left his reputation destroyed, and many of his high-profile friends, including Donald Trump, shunned him, but not Prince Andrew. Epstein was put on the sex offenders register in Florida and New York after his conviction. However, Prince Andrew persisted in his friendship with him. And there's also the now famous picture of the prince with his arm around Virginia Roberts in 2001, who claimed in US court documents that Prince Andrew had sex with her at the age of 17, something always emphatically denied by the palace, and the allegation was rejected by the US courts. The relationship of the sex offender and the prince has drawn worldwide attention. After the release of these new pictures, Buckingham Palace said His Royal Highness deplores the exploitation of any human being and the suggestion he would condone, participate in, or encourage any such behaviour is abhorrent. One thing is incontrovertible. Prince Andrew continued his acquaintance with a known sex offender long after it became public, something that's still been left unexplained by both the palace and Prince Andrew. Despite Epstein's death, the investigation and its ramifications are far from over, and this will worry the royal family. Well, joining us now from Norwich is former BBC Royal correspondent Michael Coe. Good evening, Michael Coe. First of all,
good evening.
What do you make of the speed of the palace's response?
Outraged denial will not work. Answers are needed. The truth is required. You've put some of the cogent questions that need to be addressed. This is a very serious matter. It's going to become more serious. It's going to become worse for the Prince and worse for Buckingham Palace, because there are likely to be at least one and maybe more civil cases in America. That puts the Prince into the American legal system. This is not something that can be given to Scotland Yard to be buried. It is not something that will come up before Her Majesty's justices in the Royal Courts of Justice to be argued about by Queen's Counsel. This is going to go through the American court system. And in America, as you well know, Kirsty, they say with some justice that however high you may be, the law is above you. And this is already happening. Lawyers in America are asking the Prince to give depositions. That is the beginning of the process. It would be far better for him to address these matters right now.
Yes, so basically US lawyers who are operating on behalf of the alleged victims they're asking him simply to help them to find out more about what Epstein was up to, what kind of person he was. But there's no question of any kind of extradition or anything like that. It would be unthinkable to have something like that. What you're suggesting is it would do Prince Andrew good to go voluntarily if requested.
Yes, that is indeed what the American lawyers are saying and is being reported this evening. the fact of the matter is that he is a prime witness in these matters. Perhaps nobody is better situated to comment on these matters. He was the man inside the house. He was the man in the Mews house in London. He was in the pictures. He was there at the material times.
Well, I want to come on and talk to you.
What the lawyers in America are saying...
Sorry, I want to come on and talk to you about a Daily Mail story tomorrow morning. Before I do that, just very quickly from your vast experience, what about these stories that surfaced the last few days, you know, a very immaculately timed stories, or a flurry about a getting together again of Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew? It seemed too good to be true timing-wise.
Well, that's their personal affairs. I think, to be honest, that's froth and is immaterial. I think, though, if he's wise, he should take advice of his daughters. After all, you must remember, at the time these alleged offences took place, the prince's own daughters were about the same age as some of these alleged victims of Jeffrey Epstein, now deceased. And I think anybody, any decent person, albeit a prince of the royal blood, would hesitate to still maintain a relationship with, a close relationship with somebody who'd already been convicted of fairly vile crimes.
In the Daily Mail tomorrow morning, it says Epstein's flight record raises yet more questions for Andrew. This is further linkage between the two men. Does that, in your view, put further pressure on Prince Andrew?
Well, this is what's going to happen, Kirsty. There's going to be a drip feed. Bit by bit, the information is going to come out. And you know, and your listeners know, and your viewers know, that it's not the offence that gets them in the end, it's the cover-up. And to avoid the cover-up, candour, openness, truthfulness, right now, that might actually save the situation. And if I were giving Prince Andrew, for whom I have some regard, I might say, and I liked him in his younger days, and he served this country well in the Falklands War, and he put himself into real danger, flying a helicopter as a decoy for Exocet missiles, so let's give him credit. If I were advising him now, which I'm not, I would say to him, take some advice from your lawyers, but see as if you can, do your best to answer and address these questions, because nothing else will lay this matter to rest.
Michael Cole, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now let's take